Hi everyone, welcome back into My Chamber TV. It is the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. I'm your host, Barbara Marville Kelly, and today we are featuring the Upper Tampa Chamber of Commerce. Guess where we are? We are at the Big Cat Rescue. We are out here amongst nature, and right behind me is one of our tiger friends. But with me here up close and personal is Carole and Howard Baskin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have heard so much about you and your grounds here and your purpose. It's so nice to have you on My Chamber TV.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Appreciate it.
You're on a mission, right?
We are.
And I asked you before the show, how did you get started? I think our viewers would love to hear the story. And feel free to just chime in, Howard, and how this is all working.
The way it started is when I was 17 years old, I was rehabbing bobcats for release back to the wild. And then in 1992, I was at a animal auction, exotic animal auction, because I was buying llamas to turn them loose on big tracts of ground like this. And the guy next to me started bidding on this 6-month-old bobcat. And so I leaned over to him and I said, when that cat grows up, she is going to tear your face off. And he said, I'm just going to club her in the head in the parking lot and make a den decoration out of her. I had that exact same reaction. I was horrified. And so we probably paid more for that bobcat than anybody's ever paid for a bobcat, but she was not going to be killed in the parking lot. So she came home with us that day. And because she wasn't a Florida native, I couldn't release her, plus she had been declawed. So we looked around, found a place that would sell us a mate for her, somebody that she could grow up with, because she was beating up our German Shepherd and beating up my family.
Oh dear.
And so when we got there, they had 56 bobcats and lynx, and we asked the guy, what are you going to do with these? And he said, we'll sell a few of them as pets, but the rest will be slaughtered for their fur. And so I broke out crying, and we said, how much for every cat here? And we came home with 56 bobcats and lynx. So that's how the sanctuary started.
Wow, that was a fast and rapid move right into the 56. Where did you, how did you do that?
We started building cages as fast as we could. I lived 5 miles south of here on 5 acres, but this was 40 acres back then that we had, and we thought this would be a bigger place, so we started building cages very quickly here. And then we've grown this facility to be 67 acres now, but we bought out 2 more fur farms, and the deal we made was we would take every cat they had as long as they would never kill cats again for their fur. So there are no cats being killed in U.S. fur farms. There's still some being killed in Canadian fur farms and Russian fur farms, but not here in the U.S. And then people started calling and saying, hey, would you take my lion? Would you take my tiger? And I'm thinking, what are these people doing with lions and tigers? So it was really an eye-opening situation for us to find out that there was this huge problem in America, primarily because people will pay to have their picture made with a cute little lion cub or a tiger cub. But they can only use that cub until it's about 12 weeks old, and then it can take a finger off of a small child. So they give them away to anybody that'll take them, because taking care of one of these big cats is $10,000 per year per cat, just in food and vet care. So they quickly become a huge liability.
Sure.
When people get them as pets, they're thinking, well, this has been handled, it's been around people, and the breeders tell them, oh, this is going to be just like a dog, you raise it with your children. And a year later, that animal's 200 pounds, and a year after that, it's 500 pounds, and they can't get rid of them fast enough at that point. But there's limited places that you can send a lion or a tiger. They can't go back to the wild because they were born here in the U.S.
What a story. Howard.
Well, and nobody knows how many of these cubs are simply destroyed when they're no longer useful. There's no tracking of where they end up.
Really? That is really sad. Now, I know you guys are on a mission, and I really want to get this information out there, because we had quite an intimate conversation about what's happening here. How many cats do you have, actually?
We have about 60 right now.
Yeah, okay.
And that's about 55 cats who can never be set free. And then we also still do bobcat rehab and release. Right across the lake there, away from people, is our rehab center. So anytime a bobcat gets hit by a car, those guys can go back to the wild.
And that's basically your initial story, right? Yeah. Wow. Did you have you always loved animal? Yeah, you are an animal lover. You're an old soul from long ago. I can tell, right? As a child, did you? Yeah.
But I tell people, it could happen to you. If you you love animals
I
and you find
know.
yourself in a situation like that, you're not going to just walk away and say, okay, they
Never.
can kill these animals. No, they can't.
No, no. So what's your story, Howard? I mean, this is pretty profound what you guys are doing here.
Well, I got involved because I met Carole totally accidentally at a function at the aquarium, and subsequently asked her out on a date. And in the course of that, as she was telling about the sanctuary, I made the mistake of my life and said, well, maybe I could help.
Wow. So not only did you get Carole, but all Carole's cats.
Love
Right?
me, love my cats.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But it's been a wonderful fit because we are extremely different. We joke that no computer would have ever matched us up, but our backgrounds and skills in being opposite as opposed to being a point of conflict have been very complementary. So, I was a banker, I ran, some small businesses, so I was able to bring an organization and a financial acumen to the sanctuary that has now made us, one of the most financially sound sanctuaries, and allowed us to do things for the cats, like build a state-of-the-art cat hospital. The X-ray machine to hold 1,000 pounds is $85,000. The ultrasound machine is $50,000. So it requires a lot of fundraising to properly care for the cats.
Yes.
But more importantly, in addition to giving the best care that we can, unlike most sanctuaries where that is their mission, and that's fine, our mission is split between that and trying to solve the problem. The big picture is there are 10 to 20,000 of these animals living in horrible conditions in people's backyards, in these awful roadside zoos where they're exploited. And a huge part of it is driven by this cub petting. There wouldn't be that much breeding just to have these zoos have a few cats. But when you need a constant supply of cubs, because you can only use them for a few months, and then you discard them, that's 90% of the breeding. So, and the real solution is a federal law. State laws becomes whack-a-mole. You pass a law in a state, and they move to another state. And so starting in 2012, we, working with many of the big, large animal welfare groups, we introduced a bill, and basically the bill would do two things. It would stop having these animals as pets, so they can't discard them to some private owner. You would have to have an exhibitor's license. And it would stop the cub petting that drives 90% of the breeding. And so the bill is done well. It's the normal process with a federal bill. People think, a bill gets introduced, gets passed. It's not what usually happens. Most bills never go anywhere, but the ones that do pass build momentum session after session. And so we've been doing that. In the session that just ended, we had over 140 co-sponsors in the House, which in effect means we had enough votes to pass the bill in the House. It's just the committee chairmen are very powerful, and the chairman of the committee that our bill had to go to was a longtime buddy with the lobbyist of the awful roadside zoos.
Oh, dear.
And so he wouldn't let out a committee. Now that's changed, and now the person we expect to be the committee chairman was one of our co-sponsors last session. So our prospects this time, but the way we got these 140 co-sponsors is with a very active grassroots effort. We've designed a very simple system for people to call their congressman and simply say, we'd like you to ask, the way they refer to, the way the staff refers to the congressman or senator is the boss. And so you simply say, we'd like to ask your boss to co-sponsor, and the bill name, Big Cat Public Safety Act, and the bill number, which we haven't gotten yet for this session. We've made, through our supporters, through people who come to the gift shop, and we teach about this, and online, we've made over 17,000 phone calls to Congress. And I'll tell you why that's where we learned that was meaningful. We were sitting outside a senator's office, and the senators have bigger offices than the representatives, and they tend to have two people sitting out front. And we're sitting there waiting, and the guy gets off the phone, turns to his colleague and says, I've gotten 12 calls on this. This must be a hot issue. And I thought, aha,
Yeah.
12 calls makes it a hot issue. And the phone calls
Boy, he was all over it after that.
well, and the phone calls make a much bigger difference because the way, if you email, well, that takes a certain amount of effort. If you email one that is from a system and they all look alike, that gets discounted more. You can't send a letter because it takes forever because of the old anthrax scares. You can send a fax, and a fax is impressive because it took effort. but so few people call that when they get a lot of calls, it means something.
Wow, I can't believe we only have a couple minutes left in all day long, just extracting all this information, but I'm glad that we were able to have you speak about this particular bill because it's really critical. I mean, it tears me up to think of what's happening. I was not aware of that, of what's happening to these animals. So you're just really doing God's work, and everything's coming your way, and it's wonderful. I had no idea. I don't even know how big these cats get. And to think that you two are like angels here doing something really, really wonderful and doing what you love and banking background. I mean, this is a classic case. You with your cat rescue. This is a classic case of a marriage made in heaven for sure. So I want to congratulate both of you, and anything that we can do on My Chamber TV. You're a member of the Upper Tampa Chamber of Commerce. Maybe we'll come back again. This is really a lot of fun. How long have you been a member with the Chamber?
Forever.
I was on the board for 3 years, so I think it goes back to probably 2006 maybe.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good. There's another good marriage too, because they get very involved in the community, and we have opportunities like this to bring the Big Cat Rescue to you right in the comforts and privacy of your very own home. And I hope you'll share the show and share the mission here at Big Cat Rescue. Call these wonderful folks, because you know what, if you're an animal lover, you need to help us get involved and really raise the awareness. Call the congressperson, right?
And we make that really easy. If they just text the word cats,
Yeah?
C-A-T-S,
Yeah?
to 52886, it will start them right down that path.
I'm doing it. You can do it too. Thanks for joining us here at Hi to My Chamber TV. It is the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are out here amongst nature in Tampa at the Big Cat Rescue, and we are featuring the Upper Tampa Chamber of Commerce, and we're excited to introduce our guests and residents in the community, also along with business owners. And with me is Jeri Antozzi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Barbara. Nice to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you, especially for you being such a long-time resident in Oldsmar. And you've been a past president and curator, right, for the Historical Society.
That's correct.
So tell me about that.
Well, the Historical Society itself is a group that got started in 2003. And our mission is to preserve Oldsmar's history and to share it with the people living in Oldsmar right now, because the people living in Oldsmar right now are the present history.
Yes.
And you want to, and it's a present to be living right now, you know, to be able to share Oldsmar's history.
Yeah, and we were just saying a few minutes ago about sharing the stories and the storytelling with the younger generations. So touch on that a little bit. They're really interested in what's going on in their community, right?
The kids are, and what we try to do is the outreach to children is for the Great American Teach-In.
Yes.
I think it's all over in all counties, but in Pinellas County, we make sure that we go into the schools in November and we share Oldsmar's history, and we talk about people, like say for example, R.E. Olds, Ransom Eli Olds, started our town. And he's the pioneer for the Oldsmobile. And you tell the kids that type of history and about him. And then also in 2016, we had a People's Centennial in town. So we involved the kids, we involved the community, we involved everyone.
That's wonderful, and it is such a warm community in Oldsmar. Now, you've been a teacher, right? You retired from teaching.
Teaching, yes. I taught at Oldsmar Elementary School, Forest Lakes Elementary School, and I've lived in town 40 years.
40 years?
I don't know, you know, we do have a town historian.
Okay.
He's on city council right now, Jerry Beaverland. He's been mayor, and he's written 4 books. But I've been in Oldsmar since 1978, seen a lot of changes, and I've always involved myself with different community clubs and activities.
Well, that's really wonderful, and to be involved with that historical society, and you have this museum down as part of the chamber in the old bank building, right?
Right.
It's
And
beautiful. It is so beautiful in there.
it's a commercial building that's been saved. It was a 1919 building, and you say, well, how do you date it? If you talk to an architect, it's just like a child's born, that's their birthday. When the business is opened, the bank building officially opened, and R.E. Olds, Ransom Eli Olds, was president. It opened on a Saturday in 1919, so that dates the building. It's a 1919 building, and we have the museum on one side, the Upper Bay Chamber is on the right of us, and the city council chambers are upstairs. And that is a lead building for the city, meaning that when they renovated it, they did everything the green way, and it is a green building.
Yes. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. We normally do our shows for this chamber at the chamber, right there on location, right out there in their greeting room, and it's always wonderful. Of course, today it's fun to take the chamber out and amongst the tigers. it is exciting. So you've been a lifetime member, and you've been very active since 2011. You were mentioning before the show that you interview the community members as well to keep that history constantly alive. What is a typical interview for one of your community members?
What we do is we interview them up to an hour. And to give you an example, we had a little, a young and old, he was in his mid-80s, Joe Ruick, and his father used to have a grocery store in town. And we would interview him, and he would tell us stories, and he would say when there was a quarantine for people because of rabbit fever, and because his father was a grocery store owner, he could go to the quarantine area and take their orders for food. The other thing he told us is on the second floor of the bank building used to be the community center back in its day in the 20s. And that's where during the 1921 hurricane, which really devastated Oldsmar.
Really?
The water,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the water came in from the bay all the way up to Tampa Road.
Oh, dear.
So the people had to go to the second story of the bank building. And that's where his mom and dad met.
Oh,
so you get those little stories, you know, and then Tom Rowe is the great-grandson of Ransom Eli Olds, who was the founder of our town. Mr. Olds bought the property, 37,541 acres in 1916. But believe it or not, Tom Rowe did not know about Oldsmar until between the last 10 or 15 years, because that adventure was not successful for his great-grandfather.
Oh.
And so, but since he's found out about Oldsmar, he comes every year, and they have he supports our town, and he tells us stories too. I've interviewed him, and as an aside, he just lost his, Tom just lost his wife Sandy, so our prayers are with them. But he did tell us, and would you like to hear one little trivia that he told us?
Absolutely. I love this.
Okay. He mentioned that his father, his great-grandfather, is a businessman, and the family wanted to be on the Titanic. So he convinced his family, he said, that he had business in New York. So when the Titanic was going to come into New York City, he said, let me take care of my business first, and then we'll write it back. So he says that's how close his family came to being on the Titanic, because his wife and all wanted to be on the initial,
Sure.
The boat coming over.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
That is very interesting.
Right.
You must have all kinds of stories. We could be here all day.
We could.
I know. I know. So what is a typical day for you? How many hours do you put in over there at the Historical Society?
Because our volunteers are volunteers, we're not paid. We're open 2 days a week.
Okay.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 2.
Uh-huh.
And then council meeting nights, we try to, for those that are working, we try to open from 6 to 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, we're not open on weekends, but we do open up for special
events or tours? Oh, good.
Because we've had like a Rotary group from Pinellas County had a group in from India. So we opened up the museum. We went with them to tour the city. So we do tours, and we do private tours. You just have to let us know, and we'd be there.
That's great.
Yes.
That is really awesome. So you've been a member of the Women's Club of Oldsmar. You still involved with that?
To tell you about the Women's Club, that's good you mentioned them, because what's coming up January 26th is the Women's Club is turning 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So they got started in 1919. So for the women, you and I,
this is a biggie.
This is a biggie. Plus, you have to remember the Women's Club of Oldsmar started the first library. So our library is 100 years old as well.
Nice.
And so January 26th, there's a free. There's an ice cream social at the Oldsmar Public Library from 1 to 3, and this is Saturday. And the Women's Club, Friends of the Library, Friends of the Oldsmar Public Library, and Historical Society have cooperatively, worked together to put this on. And the women in their day at the Women's Club, if you think, they started their group in 1919, reaching out to the community, doing things in the community. And for history, women didn't have the right to vote until 1920. So I think these women were go-getters.
Yeah.
And out there and doing things in the community. And so I am involved with the Women's Club.
And that's going to be a great celebration.
It is.
A really great celebration.
It is.
And do you do this every year?
What we've done, as far as every year, different events come up and we celebrate. There's Community United Methodist Church. It's turned 100, so there'll be a celebration going on to recognize that 100 years. So we spread the wealth around the town and get the history out to the community.
That's great.
Yes.
That is so awesome. I'll tell you, I could just sit here for hours and hours and listen. Maybe I'll have to come over to the historical.
Come to one of our events.
Come to one of the events and just see, what's really going on and hands-on.
Yes.
Like I say, we're down there at least once a month doing our shows, and you're like right next door.
Right.
So it is exciting. It's nice to be able to raise the awareness on what's happening in the community here in Oldsmar. It is a quaint town. It is a beautiful, homey feel. And all the business owners, everybody's like one big happy family.
With Oldsmar, I agree with you. Yeah. I've raised my family, and it's a great place to live, work, and play.
Yeah.
We have parks. We have community activities. It's fantastic.
It really is. There's a lot of different events that go on here in Oldsmar. If you're a business owner, if you know someone that is a business owner, make sure to check them out, because it's not about just paying your membership dues. It's about getting involved in the community and seeing all the wonderful things that happen right here in Oldsmar. And we'll be back with more great guests at the Big Cat Rescue. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, welcome back into My Chamber TV, the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. I'm your host, Barbara Marville Kelly, and we are here in Tampa at the Big Cat Rescue, and we are just having a real time of it all, but we're featuring the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. I have with me Mr. Brian Till, who is a certified coach, John Maxwell Certified Coach. That's a pretty big name there. Congratulations.
Well, I thank you kindly.
It's great to have you on the show today.
Great to be here.
Tell us, how did you get into coaching and all of this?
Well, for 20 plus years, I've had the privilege of being in leadership and development training positions with everything from faith-based communities as a pastor, started out years ago as a teacher educator. So my passion for empowering others, leadership development and training has gone all the way back since graduating '95, you know, from college and stepping out there. And then of course John Maxwell, I followed for many years, you know, brings to the table 45 plus years of leadership development, known as the #1 leadership guru in the world.
Yes.
And so no better person to partner with as a certified speaker and coach than with the John Maxwell Company with what I do now.
It's in your blood. I just feel it. I can tell.
Yes.
Well, you know, when you're fulfilling your passion and you're helping others, it's so rewarding, right?
Absolutely, Barbara. It sure is.
Yeah.
Most rewarding. You know, it's one thing to seek to be success. That's all about me. But
Sure.
being a person of significance, that's about adding value to others. And so that's the heartbeat of what I do.
Now, walk me through your, I know certification is really important. People want to work with coaches that have that substance behind them. John Maxwell, I was telling you earlier, I have 3 hardcover books of his,
Yes.
and I put them in a nice, neat, and tiny little spot so I know where they are. I love his philosophy. I love what you guys do. Walk me through a leadership program just with some of the bullet points, because we can all take a look at the news, look around our world. Everybody needs personal growth and development, right?
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. It's not so much getting you to a point to reach goals as much as giving you a pattern to be on in a journey for the rest of your life. And that's the goal with what I do with coaching, with speaking, with leadership training. I want to help individuals as well as their organizations to become the best version of themselves they can be.
Sure.
You know, to empower their life, to empower their business and their legacy. You know,
Yes.
how are they going to make a difference?
Yes.
So it's a joy for me to connect with business owners and their teams, everything from personality assessments, understanding their patterns and how each individual person on the team works so they can better communicate and connect together. Also guiding them through strategic things on not just communicating, but how to connect as a team, which transitions greatly into whether you're in sales, whether you're in dental work, whether you're a financial advisor, and I work with all those groups, but you know, it's helping them get a game plan together to be the best they can be, and helping them formulate the best infusion of energy and power into their team to go to that next level for productivity and growth.
That is such an excellent response, and I feel that over time, corporations have been much more open to this type of coaching, because if you don't have your act together as a person, as an individual in your own right, how are you able to be on a leadership team in a business?
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things is people in leadership position think, well, if I don't have all the answers, you know, how in the world am I going to be a true leader? Well, one of the things in my early 20s, I always wanted to have the answers, you know, as people came to me that I was leading.
Right, well, all 20-year-olds have all the answers.
Exactly, we know it all, right? Well, what I found is I needed to do a whole lot more listening, fast forward, and a lot less speaking, because you learn so much together, and when you understand that, you can always be growing as a leader. You're not always going to have the answers, and when you get up against ruts, or you're trying to figure out your next step to get to that next level, that's where a coach and someone can come in to help you get out of that rut and have a new set of eyes and ears and guide you forward from where you are to where you ultimately want to be.
You know, that's right. And to have someone that can take that role in helping develop coping skills, leadership. We were just talking about coping skills with our younger generations coming up.
Yes.
And bless their hearts, if their parents didn't have the coping skills, and then it transcends down from generation to generation. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's tough. I mean, you know, I'm so grateful for our educational systems and all, but you can even see oftentimes, I remember in school, you know, it wasn't time for me to raise my hand and ask a bunch of questions so I could really grow in knowledge of what it was, because we had a set time frame. We had to hurry up through it, or you know, it wasn't a time to be curious so much as give me the information so I can spit it out for that test and go forward. Coaching has so much more to do with helping people do what I call, or relearn what I call, the art of thinking for oneself.
Yes.
You know, it's one thing to come in and consult and say, hey, Barbara, if you try these 5 things, this will hopefully get you these results. We don't guarantee that. Every entity is different, but if I can come in as a coach and partner with you and draw out of you what I know that greatness is in you, I want to help draw out of, then you come to your own conclusion with your own solutions, and then you can own it.
Yes.
And now you know where to go. So I think, you know, oftentimes we've lost helping people learn to think into their own solutions, and especially with our younger generations. So when they get at a point transitioning out of college, wherever it is, they got a lot of knowledge here, but how to actually solve their own issues and think into their own solution, that takes a lot of you know, intentional work. And that's where, as a coach, I want to partner with people to help get that out of them, you know.
You know, it makes a whole lot of sense, and I hope you're really leaning a little bit forward to hear what you have to say, because it is so well needed out there. And once a person understands, you know, I've heard this saying several times where, oh, there's a life coach on every corner. Well, you know, you can have that mentality or that belief system, but all coaches are not created equal. What you're saying resonates with me, because I think it's so important to be able to pull that passion out from somebody. And do you find today, in today's world, there's a lot of people walking around just not fulfilling their passion, not even know.
Yes.
You're asking me what my passion is. What?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what my passion is, people will say.
That's it.
And so it's nice to have somebody just do it. Just get my passion out, okay, right?
That's it. And that's kind of my niche. If I had to bring together my focus of what I do with my clients, or even with the teams that I work with, it's empowering others to be the best version of themselves they can be and move into their full potential. And how? Through mastering their mind, making their mission, and moving their monsters. And you know, that first component of what you're talking about, mastering their mind. People have lost their passion. They have lost their purpose because of self-doubt, limiting beliefs. I don't know, why do I think I can do what someone else is doing, and on and on. But that's where I start, you know, learning to overcome those obstacles. What's standing in the way between where you are and where you ultimately want to be. And it starts right here in our mind.
It does.
You know?
I mean, that can be our world's worst enemy.
Absolutely. As it's been said, Barbara, you know, you can have success if you believe in you, but you know, you'll never have success if you don't. And so that's where we start. We want to help people. So many times the biggest obstacle to getting ultimately where we want to be is ourself.
As ourself.
And so that's where I want to help people start right there, and then move into you know, making their mission. So getting very intentional with how to take their dream from hypothetical and make it achievable, giving them the step-by-step process to actually embrace and live out that dream. And then finally, you know, as far as, you know, master your mind, make your mission, and then moving your monsters, that's about proper people alignment. You know, who's on your team to make the dream work? Who is, do you have the right positive, empowering people within your areas of influence and all to grow with? And oftentimes we have the haters and the manipulators, the people who want to suck the life out of us. Well, guess what? We need to distance ourselves from those monsters and get real intentional about the teams we associate with. They say your success is based on those you hang with, and so hugely important there. So
I could just sit with you, interview you all day long, because I resonate so much. And it all starts with choices. Is people, they're walking in like robots, and they don't realize what it is that they are destined to do. And they may go through the life and survive, and then end up just not ever doing it. And it's kind of sad to see that. So I am definitely a believer in a life coach. I married my life coach.
Awesome.
So
what a great decision.
Yeah, exactly. And we're running out of time here, but you've been a member with the Chamber of Commerce, right? For how long?
Yes, indeed. I've been now going on year 2.
Yay.
And it's been awesome. What a great team to be a part of. From those there top down, they're all about helping you, you know, go forward and really be powerful in your community and making a difference.
And making a difference conference is huge, and with all the wonderful businesses involved with the Chamber of Commerce and really engaging with
Yes,
them, right? And
that's
I'm sure they'd love to see you come into any of the networking meetings. So
Yes.
in this last minute, we do want to say thank you for joining us on My Chamber TV.
Oh, it's been
and
a
hey,
privilege.
You know what? If you are a business owner or you know a business owner, come check out the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce and get a hold of my friend here, Brian Till, because you know what? I think he just might be able to make a difference in your life, and it doesn't hurt to have a consultation with you.
Absolutely not. You can reach out to me, e3empire.com. You can reach out there, and love to add value to you and your teams.
I can't beat that in closing. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, welcome back into My Chamber TV, the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. I'm your host, Barbara Marville Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us. We're featuring the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, and we are right here on location in Tampa at the Big Cat Rescue. They're all sleeping around here. Shh. We have our guest, Gerald Jacobs, who's going to be talking a whole lot about the Chamber, and I'm really excited to hear all about the Ambassadors Club. So welcome, Gerald.
Well, thank you, Barbara. It's great to be here and great to get a chance to chat with you.
Yeah, so tell me about the Ambassadors Club. First of all, how long have you been a member with the Chamber?
If I remember correctly, which I don't always, since about 2001 or 2002.
Okay.
So for, quite a while.
Okay.
And I've been with the Ambassadors for maybe 10 years now. And what we are is we're the eyes, ears, and voice for the Chamber. Okay, we're out there meeting the public, meeting our members, talking to the members of the Chamber, showing them how they can get the most value from their Chamber membership. Now, our Chamber has got, we're pushing almost 440 members.
Nice.
And we've only got a staff of 2.5.
2.5?
Okay. So obviously they can't all get to all of the membership in order to be able to talk to everybody and help them to find value in the Chamber. And that's where the ambassadors come in. Okay. We're volunteers. We're all Chamber members. And we're out there in the community listening to what's going on, hearing what our membership has to say, and finding a way to make them find greater value with the Chamber of Commerce, because we believe we're in this, we're volunteers, we believe in the mission, and we want to spread that to the rest of the membership so that they can feel the same thing as we do.
And that's the engagement that we talk about with getting involved with the Chamber. If you're a business owner or you know someone that is a business owner, you ought to check the Chamber of Commerce out, because when you get involved, it's not about just paying your dues. And I love to hear about the Ambassadors Club, because you guys really put your heart and soul in it. It's volunteer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I say, we believe in the mission. And what we call it with the Chamber is it's your ROI, your return on involvement.
Involvement, not investment.
That's
but
right.
It is investment in a way.
Yeah.
Your involvement is your investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's good for business. It's good for the community. It's a great way to give back for all that you've been given. And I have bounty in my life, and this is one of the ways that I share it.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. How did you first get involved? Have you lived in Oldsmar for a while?
I actually don't even live in
really?
Oldsmar.
But you get this involved, right?
Well, we're the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. We're a regional chamber. Our footprint includes Oldsmar, Town and Country, West Chase, and Citrus Park. Now, I've lived in Town and Country off and on since I was in high school. So I've been there a while. And at one time, back in 98, 99, 2000, we had a Chamber of Commerce. We were never really able to get above the threshold to where we'd be a viable Chamber of Commerce. We'd have 50 or 60 members, and it's just really not enough. So an opportunity came along where we got with the Oldsmar Chamber. They were ready to expand into the marketplace, and we needed a place to continue our mission because we weren't really viable with 50 members. So we joined the Oldsmar Chamber. They became the Upper Tampa Bay Regional Chamber of Commerce. And I left the room when they were taking a vote, and I ended up as the representative from the town and country area. And I've been here ever since, and I've just been having a great time. I've enjoyed every minute of it. In fact, of the 440 members of our chamber, about half of them are Hillsborough County businesses.
Nice.
So it's about a 50-50
Yeah,
split.
yeah.
And not all the Pinellas County ones are from Oldsmar. We have a lot of members that are from Palm Harbor, Safety
Yes,
Harbor,
yes,
Dunedin,
yes.
Clearwater. And we don't really go out and solicit them because we're sensitive to other chambers' footprints. But when people come to us and say, gee, I really want to join your chamber because I've heard good things about what you do and how you do and the way you do in the community, we want to be a part of that, we're going to welcome them.
Yeah, yeah, I love to hear this. You know, I was going to ask you, you go out into the community, so can you, I'm sure you have a lot of stories to share without naming businesses or anything, but can you give us sort of an example on maybe troubleshooting? Let's say one of your business owners would like to see this a little bit improved, or maybe give you a light bulb idea or something like that. Can you share that with us?
Sure. You know, it's interesting. You have to go and really drill down to find out what people's wants and needs are. And there's a lot of times it's like pulling teeth. What can we do to help you?
Right.
Oh, I'm fine. Well, why did you join the chamber? You know, oh, it'd be good for business. Well, okay. Why is it good for business? What can we do? We want to be here to help you improve your business.
Sure.
We're here not to do it for you, but to do it with you.
Yes, and that's the key,
Yeah.
is do it with them, not tell them what to do or give them a set of suggestions, but this is what engagement is you get involved with them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And my brain being old and somewhat petrified, I can't get an example to come out right here at the moment.
You're too funny.
But I've got
You'll think about it after the show.
Well, I can give you an alternative answer to that
Okay.
question. One of the things that our chamber does is we have an education foundation.
Oh, okay.
And we do a lot of things for the schools within our footprint. And for years, we tried to give them what we wanted to give them. We thought, oh, this would be a great idea. We're going to do this for you. And they were polite, but they went, because it wasn't what they needed. And we're a little slow sometimes, but after doing these things for a few years, we went and said, let's go ask them what they need. Let's go ask them what they want. And so we did that, and we came up with our STAR program. And, you know, it's kind of sad and shocking, but with as much money as we spend on our school systems and our schools, a lot of the schools don't have enough money to buy basic things like paper and cleaning supplies.
Shameful.
It's insane.
Shameful.
Yes, it really is. So what we've done with the STAR program is we actually give cash awards to the elementary schools that need it within our footprint. And it would be nice to do it for everybody, but we're not quite that capable. So we actually give them cash awards, and we've got testimonials from the schools as to how they've spent their money. And they've had all sorts of different projects. For instance, there was one school last year we gave a $600 cash award. They had just received, I forget how many, a bunch of iPads for their STEM program. They didn't give them docking stations to charge these things.
Oh, dear.
You know, so they went to Walmart, which is one of our major sponsors for the funding for the Education Foundation, and they bought docking stations for their notebook computers. And strange coincidence, the docking stations cost $598.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so that comes from asking them what they want.
Yes.
Instead
yes.
of saying, here's what we're going to do for you.
Right, right. You know, it just makes sense, doesn't it?
It does once you figure it out.
Once you figure it out, exactly.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And that's what the Chamber attempts to do through the ambassadors with our members. What can we do? What is it that your needs are that we can do for you? Sometimes it's things like, gee, I need more help. We can't get enough employees. I know that last year, early part of the year, the restaurant and hospitality business told us that. A lot of them. They said, gee, we're hurting for people. We can't get employees. The economy's turned good. Everybody's got jobs. We don't find a workforce out there that we need to fulfill the roles we have. So we said, great, that's something we can help with. And we put on a job fair, especially for...
Really?
Yeah, especially for the hospitality industry, to try to get people to come in that would be interested in jobs, doing the things that need to be done, whether it's dishwashing or waiting on tables or, landscaping work or whatever. That's what the need was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you really hone in to what is exactly needed with each business, and clearly you're making a difference. And that's what we want to share with you. If you are a business, or you know of someone that has a business, and you're in this footprint of quite
Right.
a wide footprint,
Yeah.
right? Get a hold of the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber. In fact, get a hold of Gerald Jacobs.
Get a hold of
right?
me.
Yeah.
I'm your chamber ambassador. We're out there to help you. We're out there to try to improve our community. And we're out there to try to get you to become a part of what we do to make all of our lives better.
Exactly. And I tell you, when it comes to being part of your community, getting involved is key. There's all kinds of different networking groups. There is so much that you can get involved with. Fundraisers, Oldsmar days. There are so many things. So I hope that you'll be able to check out the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, go to some of the events, and just see. I'm sure you're going to have a fine matched enthusiasm. I know it's going to be something that is going to be an experience that you will never forget. And I would encourage you to go ahead and check them out today. And you're just always, we've had you back by popular demand, my friend, right?
Thank you.
I have a feeling that we're going to see you again too, because you know what, this has been kind of different here at the Big Cat Rescue.
It has. It's been chilly.
Yeah, I know. It is kind of chilly. Brr. And then we've got the big cats. They're sleeping behind us. Let me see. Oh, yeah, he's still fast asleep,
yeah,
and boy, is he big. I want to thank you, Gerald. Thank you so much. I know I'm going to see
Barbara.
you again.
You can count on it, my dear. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
And we'll see you again in just a little bit. Thanks for joining us on My Chamber TV. Hi, everyone. Welcome back into My Chamber TV, the heartbeat of the community. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly, and with me is Mr. Jeri Castor. We are at the Big Cat Rescue, and guess what? I have met my fears. How about you?
No, I love cats.
You love cats.
I love them.
I do too now, and we have some right behind us here at the Big Cat Rescue. This is a great idea, Jeri. What do you think?
Well, yeah, John's been wanting to go on location, and I said, well, here'll be a great location.
Oh, boy, you're not kidding.
So we'll try this, and next month we're going to try the brand new Oldsmar flea market.
Oh, I love that flea market. But, right here at the Big Cat Rescue, it was really awesome. Our interview with Howard and Carole, it was just, it really teared me up to hear the story behind this.
They're great people, and obviously they have a mission, and their mission is to protect these wonderful animals right here.
I know, and they really are. So you're coming on to share some of the things that are coming up in the community, right?
Yep.
And so what have you got going on?
Well, we got a lot going on. It's a very busy season. I can't remember exactly where I may have updated you last, but we just completed a Oldsmar Candidates Forum last week. We have 2 seats open for government. We have 3 people running for one and 2 people running for the other. There was actually 4 seats up, but there was one of the city council members is running as mayor. He ran unopposed, so he will be the mayor. He is the mayor-elect. And then one of the other city council members also ran opposed. So we will have 2 new one of the candidates is still an incumbent, so we'll have at least 1 new city council person coming up in March, and possibly 2. So,
great.
So it'll be interesting. The elections come up March the 12th, and so that's one of the big things we have going on there. At the Chamber this year, we're starting a new program, basically called Chamber Nights. I think you all know we do something called Morning Mingles, where we have some of our chamber members that are not into a bar, a restaurant, or something like that, can't food and drink, that we usually do for our mixers. So we do morning mingles for them so they can showcase their business. Now we're going to add another thing called Chamber Nights, where we're taking other types of businesses that we'll do, and we'll bring some business to them to basically get them some business, but also we're taking 50% of the profit for that and giving that to charity.
Nice.
So we have things like there's a business we have called Pino's Palette, and that's where you go and drink a little wine and do a little painting and do those kinds of things. So that's coming up. We're going to do one at Empower Adventure that does the zip line. We're going to do that when the weather gets a little bit better. We're going to do golf every other week at Chichi Rodriguez, as well as Tarpon Woods, which is the Jan Stevenson Foundation.
Yes.
So we're going to do things to bring business and support charities to do that.
That's fabulous.
So,
and how long have you been with the Chamber, Jeri?
About 16 years, I think.
That's all, 16 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's after my 30 years in the military.
Yeah, and thank you for your
Yeah.
service.
I love
Yes.
that. I love
Yes. You are an icon over there at the Chamber,
So
and we really appreciate it. We love doing the shows with you. Some of the other things that you have, coming. Oh, the trade show in Palm Harbor.
Yeah, we have a.
I think I think we may be. I know they closed it off because you got so many.
Oh, great.
But we're trying to still get in there.
Yeah, we actually sold that out. We're doing a trade show with Palm Harbor on the 29th.
Yeah.
At East Lake Woodlands.
Yep.
And we try to do. We try to be supportive of the community.
Yes.
So we work with others. We play in a sandbox well with others, and that's
I know.
That's just part of our.
Well,
part of
yeah,
our thing.
you can't just stop at the borderline of
No.
your footprint, right?
No.
It spills over into all of the various communities, and that's what's so great about these chambers. Everybody does play well in the
it does.
sandbox.
Yeah. So we like to do that. A couple things I was also telling John about. We have that are a little bit more serious and may wind up being a good individual show for you to do. For instance, I have a thing going on with the Tampa Bay Partnership. They have about $300,000 to study how we better manage our talent in terms of driving various industries in the area. And one of those is manufacturing. They're looking at manufacturing, construction, healthcare, tourism, and information technology. And so they can only fund 2 of them, and we're hoping to get manufacturing to be one of those because it is such an essential ingredient in our footprint.
Yes,
And,
it is. We have really done a lot of interviews with a lot of manufacturing companies right here.
Yeah, and you don't. What people don't realize is that most of their sales are out of our region, and so therefore they're bringing new money in, and that's what they call their gross regional product. Their gross regional product or their export sales rather. Their export sales is really a very high factor as opposed to some of the other industries that you're talking about, where you're spending money locally, which is good and keeping our economy moving. But when you're bringing it in for other people to move around, that's even better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so,
and you do that very, very well.
Yeah, so we're doing that. And also the city of Oldsmar has us contracted, and specifically I work about 2 days a week with the assistant city manager of Oldsmar, and she's going to take a really deep dive into why is Oldsmar from an economic development perspective. What are our industries? What are the occupations that we support? What are our average wages? How are we doing in respect to other communities? With the aspect of what do we need to do to keep and sustain that and grow that. So at the end of the month, January 31st, what we're going to have to do is a focus group. We're inviting up to 60 employers in various sales earnings categories, less than $1 million, $1 million to $3 million to $5 million, etc. And we're going to sit them down, give them this analysis that we've already done, and ask them to give us what we'll call a SWO analysis. We're not thinking about threats. We're thinking about strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. So
that is fascinating.
Yeah. So when we get that done, I think that may be. I think we're one of the only cities that I know of, because we're pulling the data with Pinellas Economic Development. I think we're the only one of the cities that are taking that really in-depth look at what are the factors that make that good economy, and how do we drive it? What do we do to do that? So, so some interesting stuff going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, every time we have you on the show, you're always coming up with new ideas, and it's fascinating to be able to share that in the community.
Yeah, and then we do the things that we love to do, like we have Oldsmar Days coming up.
Oh, I love Oldsmar Days. We only have 2 minutes, so can you fill us in and fill our viewers in on Oldsmar Days?
Yeah, we have Oldsmar Days. It'll be March 29th, 30th, 31st. We'll do our annual parade on the 30th with the Oldsmobile Club of Florida. We'll be having Greg Billings, Stormbringer, and Black Honkies.
Oh, Black Honkies. They make it everywhere.
Yeah, so we get... that'll be our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday big bands, but we have, bands all through the weekend. So it's a great opportunity to get out and celebrate community.
You have it at the same area every year?
Yeah, well, we do it because it's a great park.
Yeah,
it sits right on the bay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's at it's Ransom Eli Olds Park.
Yeah.
So he's the founder of Oldsmar, so that's right where we do it, right at the top of the bay in that big band show.
I have been there several times,
Yeah.
and it is such a blast. You'll find craft tables, you'll find all kinds of different tables with artists, excuse me, and lots of food, right?
Lots of food.
Yeah.
And of course we do have some adult beverages too. So.
Adult beverages.
Yeah, we have some adult beverages.
Exactly. So, hey, you know what? If you happen to be a business owner, or you know a business owner, you live in this area and you want to check out the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, by all means do so. And it's not so much, and we've talked about this before, it's not so much paying your dues and expecting something to happen. It's really engaging yourself in the community, getting involved with the fundraisers, Oldsmar Days, and so much of the like, right?
Exactly. That's what we talk about. We don't talk about return on investment. We talk about return on involvement.
We just mentioned that earlier on with Gerald.
Yep.
Return on involvement. And then, of course, that makes the investment even sweeter.
That floats all boats. When you get involved, it floats all boats.
It does. Jeri, thank you so much. You're always a delight. We'll see you next month, and we'll see you as well. Thanks for joining us on My Chamber TV. Brrr.